Hi, my name is Nicole Slowey and I'm the Operations Director here at Qdos. And in this video today, we'll be discussing the survey into self-employed working in 2021 and 2022. 2021 was a year full of challenge for the general self-employed market. So that includes our contractor customers, our freelance worker customers, and our clients and recruitment agencies that we engage with in IR35 reform services. So we wanted to take the time to do a bit of an investigation by way of a survey to understand from those freelancers, from those contractors, from those organisations engaging those types of individuals, what were the biggest challenges that they faced and what they were potentially optimistic about looking into 2022. First of all, we want to thank all of the respondents who participated in that survey. We really appreciate the feedback and we hope that the insights we've been able to uncover are useful for those in the marketplace. You can download a copy of our survey report, including the responses, via the link in the description box. Starting with being self-employed in 2021, and more specifically looking at freelancers in the first instance. So our freelancer respondents told us that they were very significantly impacted from a financial perspective in respect of COVID-19. And it was actually 78% of individuals said that their revenues were impacted by over 50%, which is in stark contrast to the statistics on the same questions for our contracting population, who set out that they were less impacted financially. Widening the net in terms of the types of questions that we asked of our freelancer customers, we wanted to talk to them about the model reporting rules, which are due to be introduced in 2023. Now, surprisingly, over 63% of contractors said that they were aware of the rules, they knew what they were, and they knew when they were coming in. And as a result of that, over 90% of contractors said that they intend to continue contracting even after those rules are actually introduced. So it was good to see that within that space, those freelancers have that awareness of the big changes in the marketplace that could ultimately affect their position, and it's not necessarily deterred them from continuing to provide their services in that space. Another positive finding from our survey was that the freelancers themselves are actually in it for the long haul. Over 90% of respondents told us that they intend to continue being a freelancer and providing the services in the way that they are currently, right the way through retirement. So it's great to see that those individuals in that space have the confidence in their profession, have their confidence in the marketplace, that they can continue to do that for many years to come. Now, as far as what those individuals saw as being the biggest risk or the biggest challenge ahead of them in 2022, it's the tax implications as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's not necessarily a surprise, as we see things like the social levy being introduced in April 2022 this year. So for freelancers themselves, there is an element of pragmatic optimism, but that's notwithstanding the bigger challenges in the marketplace from certainly a tax perspective that they continue to face on an ongoing basis. Focusing on the contractor population that we surveyed, it's positive to see that contractors themselves feel like they've been able to bounce back from the COVID-19 pandemic. We had 44% of respondents tell us that they had a consistent 2021. Now, whilst this is still less than half, it's a significant swing from what we saw the year before, where we actually had 53% of contractors saying that their businesses were significantly impacted financially as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, unsurprisingly, our contractors told us that IR35 reform was the biggest challenge that they faced in 2021. We know that a lot of organisations really struggle to get in place proper and robust and fair processes for handling IR35 compliance. What is important is that organisations like Qdos and others in the marketplace continue to help support contractors and agencies and end engagers with managing IR35 on a BAU basis going forward, so that we can reduce the element of that challenge for contractors going into 2022. One of the overriding themes from the contractor survey is that contractors are actually optimistic about their prospects. Over 45% of individuals told us that they had that confidence of their prospects this year. Now, that's not to say that they don't view 22 as having challenges. In actual fact, and again, no real surprises there, the biggest challenge or threat that contractors see to their way of working in 2022 actually remains to be IR35. And secondary to that is actually the tax increases, again, that we're expecting to see as part of the social levy. So it's positive insofar as despite some of these big factors and challenges that contractors still see, that so many of them are optimistic about the outlook for them going into 2022. An important topic for us to cover as part of the survey was getting contractor insight into the landing of IR35 reform in the private sector. Now, there were a lot of expectations around reform coming in 2021 as a result of the 2020 delay. People had mixed feelings about how organised organisations would be, having perhaps gotten to a certain point in their preparations before. And a lot of the stats that we've been able to draw from the contractors' responses actually support this quite significantly. 1 month post-reform, 77% of contractors who were surveyed told us that they had received a determination in respect of their IR35 status. However, more concerningly, only 56% of those individuals had actually received a status determination statement. Now, we know the specifics about the rules and the obligations that client organisations and engagers actually have. So based on the statistics that we've been able to draw out, it's suggestive that almost half of organisations on that population who undertook a determination didn't actually fully fulfil their obligations by issuing contractors with an SDS, which sets out the basis and rationale of the determination that's actually been made on contractors. Some excuses or explanations could potentially be made about the fact that organisations had such a big focus in 2020 and in 2021 in respect of the COVID-19 pandemic that they weren't able to wholly commit resources and attention to actually their IR35 processes and the responsibilities. But that doesn't take away from the fact that those organisations have an obligation in order to adhere to the legislation that actually exists. What contractors actually told us about those determinations was that 65% of outcomes arrived at an inside IR35 status. And of those contractors that received an inside status, 38% of them received their determination from their client who used HMRC CEST. And based on our knowledge and the views around CEST, that's not necessarily an unexpected result. On a confidence scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, our contractors rated HMRC CEST tool a 2. Now, that's further supported by the fact that over 43% of contractors would prefer not to, or would specifically choose not to work with a client who was using HMRC CEST as a means of considering IR35 status. That's typical with the types of opinions that we've had and heard from contractors previously in respect of HMRC CEST, and it is concerning that that position remained 6 months after reform had actually come into play. A welcome finding from the report was that 65% of contractors 6 months on from reform actually said they were able to secure an outside of IR35 role. Now, this is great to see because that's actually almost double those who were surveyed 1 month after reform who said that they weren't able to find a role outside of IR35. Despite the upward trend of contractors currently fulfilling outside of IR35 roles, almost 3/4 of the individuals surveyed actually had little confidence around being able to continue to secure roles outside of IR35 going on and into 2022. Now, we know ourselves that there is a mixed bag out there in the marketplace, but we do have confidence that we are seeing incremental increases in the number of outside IR35 roles that actually remain available for contractors, and something that we definitely hope to see continue throughout this year. Thank you for watching. I hope that you found this video useful and insightful. As I said at the start, a copy of the responses are available to download via the link in the description box.